thank you. Oh my goodness. It's the first time I've been able to actually look in this direction. And I know you other honorees know this feeling. It is an absolute honor to be here, and I am so grateful to the Alden Kindred and all the folks that participate in this process. Don't be offended by Kimberly. Her brain just works differently. I cannot tell you how many times I heard my mother explain this to people who were completely baffled by how my brain worked and how I did or did not interact with them growing up. So imagine the intersection of love and understanding that it takes for a parent to tell another adult that about a small child. It's heartbreaking to me that I am the last person standing in my family. And so I've had many compliments on this jacket tonight. It was my mother's, and it is her being here, giving me a hug. But that statement right there, those few words, were her living the example of showing me that speaking for myself was acceptable, and that it should be embraced, and that adults should listen to the kids sometimes. So I'm very grateful for that, and I really feel like I won the parent lottery. You know, for those who believe I picked the right ones, I'm so grateful. My mother was a pediatric nurse practitioner, and she knew from the age of 9 the nurse practitioners didn't exist when she was 9, but she knew she wanted to be a nurse, and she knew she wanted to go into that for a living. And so I am so excited to be here, because this is a really new connection for me. As you mentioned, we're cousins, but I didn't know about Alden's until about a year ago, maybe even less than a year ago. And so this has been a really interesting journey for me, and I'm so grateful. So I have 2 women to thank for being here tonight, because we talk about raising strong women and being strong women. My mother would be one of them, and the reason that I didn't know about being an Alden is pretty simple, and I didn't understand until I was a teenager, and I was looking through scholarships, and I was gotta go to college, right? And worked very hard, and I'm checking out all of these scholarships that we didn't have the internet, so you go to the library, right? And you get all your resources and you look it up, and I came across a scholarship for the DAR, Daughters of the American Revolution. And I asked my mom about it, because I knew that my mom's entire family tree was from about a 50-mile radius of where we are right now. But I was not reared in any lineage society space. And so I asked my mom, well, hey, do I qualify for this? And she said, no, I'm afraid you don't. I never joined. And I said, gosh, Mom, why didn't you join? It's like your grandmother, your great-grandmothers, your aunties, all the people. And she said, well, sweetheart, at the time that I was asked to join, it was 1964. And I was a young cellist in an orchestra, and I loved Marian Anderson. And at the time, they would not admit Black women into membership. And I chose not to join for that purpose. And I put the books away, and I never looked back. And that really struck me, because my respect for her speaking that truth for herself just skyrocketed. And then I saw her live that truth her entire life. She went to medical school, fell in love with public health and serving the people. And so in the introduction, when you talked about the communities living downstream, it's because she worked in public health, and this is where she felt like she could live her truth of service. She did lead a very successful career, and I love hearing that other folks have gone for legislation. I did not learn until I was an adult that my mother was part of critical legislation in Florida to ensure that our children that had the kinds of health challenges that meant that they could not leave their homes had access to true star quality public education delivered into their homes if they could not leave. I learned that after my dad passed away and a patient called and told me about her. So it was absolutely amazing. And so I saw her living this truth and showing me how to be of service. And so I chose that path. And it was a really wonderful way to live, and I'm grateful for that. I would be remiss if I did not mention my late father as well. And some of you may or may not know, I'm the last one standing in my family, so no siblings, and everybody else is, my family is here, my husband. And so I'm very grateful to be embraced by this family, because it's my new family, and thank you very much for that. And so I wanted to share a little bit about the other woman and the reason that I'm here. So my current work, I'm so grateful to work in, some of you have heard of the 3rd Ward in Houston, Texas. It's a community that has been historically marginalized. It's African American community, and we have been working on a former rail line that is now a trail that was built by enslaved persons in the 1850s. And the historian that I'm working on some of the projects around that area, Naomi Mitchell Carrier, one of the preeminent Texas African American historians. She is absolutely extraordinary. And we were sitting together talking about what the community needed, and she says to me, we need to get more recognition, more certification, more understanding with the Texas Historical Commission on the role of this trail, because this rail was the reason that Texas was as powerful as it was in the Industrial Revolution, because King Cotton came up this rail and went to Manchester, England, and this is big. And I was like, yeah, what does that take? Like, how do you do that? And she said, well, they've got these America 250 things, and they've got all these things happening. And I'm like, well, where does that live? And she said, so what do you know about the DAR? And I said, oh, well, let me tell you my mom's story, and then I'll tell you. And she said, well, I think you need to join, and I'll pay for it. I did not take her up on that. I was paying for myself. I really appreciate that. But sometimes you have to be given a sign from something that's bigger than you to come back and participate and reconnect and realize that it is the arc of the full story. And so I so appreciate the inclusion of the indigenous population in the story that you were telling, because I will say that is why I joined Alden. Because last year, when you had the webinar that the current descendants said, we want to tell a bigger story, and you had the webinar about what artifacts have been found here and a reassessment of that said to me, these are the people I need to be connecting with, because these are the people interested in the story and the fact that the story is all of the Creator's children. And so I'm really grateful to have this honor, and I'm so excited to be in Alden. I am very excited to go from here. Yes, I get to head to New Bedford from here and work with the community, and I'm very grateful for that. And so thank you, everyone. I would not be here without this man, my husband. I so appreciate you being my support, and for those who Wonder if I speak for myself, I proposed.